pronouns. There's that nice recording notification. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs, and I am a career peer ambassador here with the San Diego Mesa College Career Center. Essentially, I meet one-on-one or in group settings like this with students to provide resume and cover letter assistance, job search strategies, or internship preparation, all to get you all to that next level in your career journey. This is my third year altogether with the Career Center here at Mesa College, and my fourth year altogether in career development. And I've learned so much, you know, in my first job with the San Diego Workforce Partnership, doing similar work, but really, you know, a whole lot more on how the student services take on career is all about. It's all about connecting, you know, work experience in your career journey to your educational goals. I am a Mesa College alumnus. I just graduated last spring with my degree in communication studies. And I'm really, really happy that I get to continue with the work that I do here at Mesa College. Now, I want to double back real quick. Alicia did mention that we will be participating in a opportunity drawing at the end of this workshop today. So the more you participate, the more entries that you get into our opportunity drawing. And then there will also be a post survey at the end that I'll send to each of you to complete to get your entry into the opportunity drawing. Right, so now what we're learning today, it's all about cover letters, but I want to point you to a couple learning objectives that you'll be able to tie back everything that we're going over today to. At the end of this workshop, you'll hopefully be able to identify how to format a cover letter, find a job posting to assist in building a hypothetical cover letter, right? Because writing cover letters takes a little bit of finesse and it takes a little bit of practice. So I always encourage students wherever they are in their career journey to practice writing cover letters for the job that you would like to get. At the end of this workshop, you'll be able to select the best examples from your experiences to showcase in a cover letter, right? You can have, you know, 4 or 5, you know, 15 years of experience, but you really want to highlight the best of the best when writing a cover letter. And then lastly, you'll be able to identify online resources to select which skills to highlight as they relate to the job. Again, it's all about tailoring that cover letter and tailoring your skills and your experience to the job that you're looking for. If you have any questions about any of these learning objectives, again, feel free to pop them into the chat below. And I have no problem, you know, going back over them. Next, I want to hear from you all. So I'm going to launch a poll right now, and this is going to help me tailor some of what I'm sharing with you all. I want to know about, yes, there we go. I want to know about where you are in your career journey, what you're studying here at Mesa College. That's going to help me tailor all of my information to you all who are in the in this workshop right now. So if I can get a thumbs up from one of you, if you can see it. Thanks, Helen. Thanks, Lara. Yep, so we'll take some time to answer these questions. Hi, Amy, thanks for the wave. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 participants in here. I've got 5 results. Wait for just about one more. All right, and we have 6 results. I'm going to go ahead and end the polling and take a look at some of these results. I don't think that any information may, you know, this information may not be helpful to you, but it's definitely helpful to me. So I get a good idea of what kind of things you all are studying. How can I tailor this information to someone in the sciences field or child development? I see some computer and information sciences and humanities. So we got some of you who are currently looking for a job. Most of you are currently looking for a job, so that's going to help you all decide, you know, what kind of things can you take and apply right this second. If you're enrolled in classes at Mesa City or Miramar, that's going to help you all pull examples from your education to write. And all of you have written a cover letter before, so this is great. This is all information that we'll be going over today that'll hopefully you can apply in your current cover letter or your future cover letters. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing those results. And let's go ahead and move on. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the chat. So before we really get into the meat and potatoes of this presentation, I want to get on the same page with you all. I know that I might be using some language that is unfamiliar to some of you, or language that you don't necessarily use in your day-to-day life. So let's take a second and go over those terms. Resume essentially is a formal document that a job applicant creates to itemize their qualifications for a position, right? A resume is probably going to be the #1 document asked when you're applying to a job or to a volunteer opportunity. Develop, that's a word I'm going to be consistently using. It just means to grow or improve on a skill or a quality, right? So if I am going into a new job where I don't really know, I don't have the typing skills that they might be looking for, I'm going to want to develop that skill so I can really make an impact on this wherever I'm working. If I want to develop sewing skills, or if I want to develop culinary skills, that just means to improve or grow. The next term I have on here is mental word bank. That's just I don't know how I came up with that term, but this is where you'll just use framework or language that can be frequently used for multiple projects. I'm going to be going over, a rough shell of what a cover letter looks like. And that shell is essentially a word bank that you can pull from whenever you're writing a cover letter. The last term I have on here is soft skills versus hard skills, right? So any kind of skill is a great skill, but it's really helpful to be able to determine which skill works best for what you're looking for. A soft skill is a skill that can be classified as a personality trait or a habit, something that's just an innate part about you, like attention to detail, creativity, interpersonal skills. Those are all soft skills, whereas a hard skill is something that you aren't born knowing. A language, for example, knowing how to use Microsoft Word or knowing how to use a cash register. Those are hard skills that you acquire those through training and practice. So there's a difference between the two, and there's not one that's better than the other, but it's all about what the job is looking for. I just saw Isis joined us. Welcome back. I saw you last week. So let's go ahead and move on. If you have any questions on these or would like me to elaborate, feel free to drop a question in the chat. All right, so we're going to get straight into it. We're going to go over what the cover letter format looks like generally. And it's going to start off with a paragraph, in paragraph form, the first one being your introduction paragraph. And here is where you want to state why you want the job, how you heard about the job, through Indeed, or was it through a current employee, who you are, just really briefly. Are you a student? Are you already a professional in this field? Are you looking to gain entry-level information into this job? And then you also want to preview what you're able to do in about 3 to 4 skills. Think of this as your thesis statement, meaning that everything underneath in those following paragraphs should back up these 3 to 4 skills that you're choosing to highlight. And then lastly, you want to tie it all together with a bow or put a cherry on top by sharing how you want to use these skills in the position that you're applying for. Right, so these are all pretty standard things to include in an introduction paragraph, but to save time and to really get the hang of writing that introduction paragraph, you can use pretty much the same, very similar wording in any kind of cover letter that you do. For example, I shared down here that if I wanted to explain my interest, I would write it exactly as, I'm excited to share my interest in this position after finding it through LinkedIn, after finding it through Jerry from finance who referred me to this position, right? If I want to highlight those 3 to 4 skills, I would write it as my creativity, my attention to detail, and my critical thinking skills will position me to excel as a office intern at Scripps Hospital, right? That's the kind of framework or the mental word bank that you can pull from. That way you can really bust out these cover letters really quickly and use professional language that you're already familiar with. If you're writing that introduction paragraph, be sure to plug the company's mission statement and values if you can find them. any kind of keywords that they might use in the job posting or on the website is also going to really stand out to the employer. If I'm working at Sharp Hospital, where they value community outreach and family values and integrity, I'm going to make sure that I use those words in my introduction paragraph. And if it's a skill or a quality that is part of their mission statement or value, you can surely bet that I'm going to use that in those 3 to 4 skills where I highlight what I can bring to the company. Right, and that's essentially an introduction paragraph. It's pretty standard, and that's why it's really helpful to have this language to already pull from if you've written a cover letter before or if you're just practicing. The next portion of a cover letter is going to be that those body paragraphs, usually 1 to 2, not anything too overwhelming, right? Because you do want to highlight just the greatest hits of your experience. And in your body paragraph, you're going to share how and where you've demonstrated the skills you provided above, right? That sentence that I shared in the previous slide, that's your thesis. Everything that you write underneath that should connect back to it. Provide specific details of what kind of how you demonstrated those skills. If there's any kind of technology programs that you use, like Microsoft Word or Outlook, or CAD for my computer information science majors out there. Any kind of data or numbers that you can include. So if you are in retail and you contributed to a 13% increase in your store's growth, then include those data and numbers to paint a better picture for the employer when they're reading this. And then lastly, any coursework that you might have that it might have given you some insight into this career field. This is a huge asset to you all as college students. If you take away anything from this workshop today, make sure that it's that you can pull from your coursework and from projects that you've done in the classroom, because that's what's probably closest, what might be the closest aligned to the career field that you're looking to go into. It's a really, really great resource that you can pull from. Lastly, I have written on here, how do these skills relate to what you're able to do for the company or organization that you're interested in, right? Make sure that you tie it off with a bow or put a cherry on top by connecting it to how is this going to benefit from the company. You're essentially writing out everything that's in almost everything that's in your resume, but in essay form. You're going to be able to give specific examples and go a little bit more in detail in these body paragraphs than you would in a resume, right? And where do these examples come from? They can come from really anywhere. Any kind of previous work history that you might have is a common area that people pull from. But again, what you can really, really tap into are those school projects. If you're looking to get an internship at Sharp Hospital, right, and you've taken nursing classes, if you've taken classes with our allied health program, you're able to pull that kind of information or the curriculum that you learned and put that in your cover letter. Make sure that you include that. Any kind of volunteer opportunities or clubs or organizations, those are also places that you can pull from. See in the chat right here, we have a question, if I can pull it up. All right, so we have a question in the chat that says, it says to stay away from job-specific technology, but what if you are in the computer science tech field? This is a really, really great question, and I'm glad that you brought this up, Tracy. So what job-specific technology could mean is, say that you use say that you don't use Outlook or Gmail or anything to communicate with your colleagues. Say that you use something called communication tree, and it is a software that your job made specifically for that organization. Someone outside of this organization may not know what communication tree is called, so you might instead call it email communication software, right? That's how you can avoid staying away from job-specific language or job-specific software that that someone may not readily know, right? Or you can say the name of the software and then make sure that you define it. But anytime that you can use kind of generic terminology for the software that you're using, it's going to make that all the better. And I'm going to write that question down, Tracy, because we are going to go into a tool that I think could help you kind of simplify what the what the kind of generic name for the software could be called. Another question in the chat. Awesome. I'm glad that clears it up. I'll be sure to go over it again just in case. All right, so on the right-hand side, which is what Tracy brought up, is stay away from repeating yourself. Again, this is a document to supplement your resume, not necessarily to reinforce everything else on there. You do want to pick the best of the best, and you want to give it some more detail in a cover letter. That's what this is for. You want to stay away from providing any kind of unnecessary details. You should walk the fine line of quality and quantity, meaning that if you're adding more, but it's not really giving anything substantial to the employer, to the person that's rating this, then you don't need to include it. Acronyms, you want to stay away from, along with job-specific technology. Again, like I said before, just make sure that you use the most generic name that you can think of for it. And if you have any kind of acronyms, make sure that you spell it out completely. That way, you're not assuming that an employer might know what UCSD is. If you're talking about your school and you talk about UCSD, make sure you spell out University of California, San Diego. Awesome, good question, Tracy. Thank you all for participating in the chat. So our cover letter format for the last paragraph is going to be your conclusion paragraph. This is a pretty, again, standard formula when you're writing that conclusion paragraph, because you're essentially just directing the employer to what's coming next. You want to direct them to where they can find more information. So if you also submitted a resume or a CV or any kind of references or any other requested documents that they might have asked for, this is where you can say down here in the mental word bank, right? You can find details of my work history in my attached resume or on my transcript or anything else that they might have asked for. You also want to clearly state what you would like for the next steps to be. Is it an interview? Is it, just a sit down, informational interview? Or what is it exactly that you're looking for? And then lastly, you want to restate the skills that you would like to bring to the position. Again, like a thesis statement in an essay, always restate it at the very end. That way, your employer knows exactly what to connect everything back to that they just read. Some examples that I put down at the bottom is if you're looking to state what you would like next, you can say, I look forward to further discussing how I can benefit your company in an interview at your earliest convenience. If you're looking for an interview after this, make sure that you state that very clearly. It displays, a little bit of confidence and, really sets in stone to the employer what exactly you're looking for after this. All right, and again, feel free to drop any questions in the chat, but that's essentially, those the three largest components of what you'll find in a cover letter. Right, so when you're modeling your cover letter, especially if you're just writing one for practice or if you need some kind of information or inspiration, you can look at different resources online, right? So if you go onto our Mesa College website, our labor market data is going to tell you exactly what kind of careers you're looking for. I went ahead and linked you all to our careers page, Career Center page on the Mesa College website. And down here underneath career resources, you'll be able to find labor market data for just about every single program that we offer. For example, I know that we saw, let me go and pull up our poll results. Let's take a look at child development. We have someone in here that is a child development major. If I go through each of these, I'm most likely going to find something under child development. My eyes aren't what they used to be, so bear with me. All right, so say that it's social work, because there's many ways, many different places that you can go into with child development. And you can take a look at everything that's listed on here, and they're going to give you really specific information about the social work job field in San Diego. And all this information is pretty up to date, right? They have projected data that started in 2003 that'll go out to 2023. So we've got information that's projected to a couple years from now. They share the number of online job postings for the specific job field. But what you can really, really look for on this document is who's hiring here in San Diego. And you'll be able to pretty quickly find top employers for social work in San Diego. So Public Consulting Group, Corrections Corporation of America, Rady Children's Hospital. These are areas that are looking for social work or child development students here. All right, so you can tag on over to our labor market data and then find, careers at Rady Children's Hospital or the County of San Diego or the U.S. Marine Corps. Those are all places that you can look for job postings in. Right, if I look at places like ONET, which is where I will go right now. ONET Online is essentially that same kind of information, labor market data, but a little bit more in depth, and this goes across, the entire US, right? So I'm going to refer back to our polls, and I'm going to look for a career in, let's look at computer information science. I put in information science, and you can look up just about any kind of career field. Right, so for example, these are all the different kind of jobs that you can hold as someone majoring in computer information sciences. So the first one that they have on here is computer and information research scientists, and they'll give you some pretty standard day-to-day tasks that you could be expected to do here. But what's really, really helpful about this are the technology skills. These are the kind of things that employers are looking for specifically from computer information research scientists. So they're looking for you to have a general understanding of analytical or scientific software, database management system software. And Tracy, the student who asked that question about how can I find generic terminology for the programs that we use, it's generally all going to be here. They have 33 different programs that you could be expected to use, limited to about 5, but if you want to figure out what to call, I guess there's a program called Ruby. Ruby is a development environment software, or Oracle. It's an operating system software. That's where you can find really kind of generic information about what to call a job-specific technology that you might be using. You'll also be able to find common skills that you can expect to have when applying to a position like this. So complex problem solving, critical thinking, judgment and decision making, active listening, and reading comprehension are the top 5 skills that employers are looking for in this specific field. Now you're going to probably ask yourself, why is this information helpful? You'll be able to take these skills and these technology skills and really be able to find, parallels in your own experience. So if you're finding that you have experience with presentation software or database management system software, then you're probably a good candidate for this position. If you're really good at critical thinking and active listening, that's going to help you pick, 2 skills from your own kind of Rolodex of experience to pull from. That's kind of how you'll use ONET. There are a million other different uses for it. That's what you're going to use to kind of find job postings or inspiration of what exactly to include in a cover letter. Now, once you've found those, 3 to 4 skills, again, I really want to hammer down about 3 to 4 skills. You don't want to overwhelm the employer by giving them 5, 6, 7 skills. Stick to about 3 that you can really, really provide good examples for. For example, I picked a position that requires written and verbal communication, creative thinking, and managing. You're probably going to be managing several clients. Those are the 3 strongest skills that this person probably resonated with. And underneath them is where you can break down, okay, where can I pull experience from? For written and verbal communication over here on the left-hand side, as a student, you've probably created and facilitated many, many informational presentations in class, group projects or research projects that you've done. And what you can really pull from are those major specific research projects. If I am a nursing student who's done presentations on spinal cord or whatever nurses talk about, you can pull, you did this kind of research and you were able to find information from nurses.gov, and you've equipped yourselves with this kind of knowledge, you can share that in a cover letter. For creative thinking, if say that you work at Forever 21, right? And the holiday season is coming around and you're looking to really boost sales, odds are you may have introduced new promotional material, promotional tools when doing this. If you decided to offer every single guest that comes through a handbag that's 50% off and you contributed to sales for that season, that's a form of creative thinking. That's something that you can do in a position like retail that supports creative thinking skills. That's when managing several clients. I have so many students who I've met with who babysit or provided some sort of childcare. That's a skill in itself, being able to manage, up to 8 family and for child care services. You're scheduling hours throughout the week and you're providing, tailored communication styles to share with mom and dad, like, hey, Billy, Joe, Bob has finished their homework for this week, or, they could use some support when, figuring out how to wash their hands. Those are ways that you are managing several clients that you can include in a cover letter. So I say all that to say that, this kind of experience can come from anywhere, really. All right, so I want to turn it around to you all, and I want to ask for you all to participate in this. We're going to try to break down a job application and determine which examples to share in a cover letter. So I'll be calling out for volunteers to share. And those of you who share out loud, come off of mute and share your opinions or your perspectives, you'll get an additional entry into our opportunity drawing a little bit later. Let me make sure I have your names before we get started. All right, so on the left-hand side, we have some desired qualifications from a graphic design internship. They are looking for an applicant who has knowledge of design techniques, tools, and principles. They have attention to detail, they're creative, they have a knowledge of media communication and social media platforms. They have sales and marketing they have experience in sales and marketing products and services, and they have experience with computer-aided design and video creation software. So these are all the things that this position is looking for, right? And on the right-hand side, we have someone with all of their experience that they're looking to share. They have completed 12 units of web design courses here at Mesa, because we've got that kind of thing. They have done freelance video work. They have experience operating a personal business, Instagram and Twitter. They've got 3+ years of customer service, and they use Adobe Illustrator, CAD, Autodesk, and YouTube Studios. These are all of the experiences that they're looking to offer for this position. But we want to pick, we want to go through each of those and decide which one of these really, really is tailored to the job application. Right, so let's go down the line with 12 units of web design courses. Do we think that this is something that they can use to back up their experience in this cover letter?
It will match the first requirement, knowledge of design techniques, tools, and principles.
Oh, that's a really good one. Amy, I saw your hand up too. I think that's a yes. I got a thumbs up. So Amy and, I'm sorry, I think it's Zhu Chan.
Yeah, I go by David.
David, okay. David, those are, you scored yourself an extra entry into our raffle. Opportunity drawing, sorry, we can't say raffle. But yes, you hit the nail on the head. This person has, for example, they can share that they completed web design 173, which is e-commerce website creation, and they've studied principles of content management systems and design, right? So if this person were to share this, that they're 12 units of web design courses, these are the things that they would write in that cover letter to provide examples. Yes, David and Amy, you were spot on. Let's go on to the next one. Freelance, being a freelance videographer. Is this something that we think that they can use in this position? Looking for volunteers each time. Amy, I see a head shaking no. Tracy, what
Yeah.
was that?
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
So with the I think they can utilize the bottom one that's things and computer aided design and video creation. So that can be open-ended with anything that they develop.
Yes, so you said that it can definitely support the bullet point on the bottom, which shares experience with computer-aided design and video creation software. This, you are correct, Tracy. This is something that they can use in that cover letter, right? And it's really all about how you frame it, right? So this is utilizing their creativity and hands-on experience with video shooting and editing experience. You can use a lot of things, but it's all about how you frame that. They can support it with how creative they get with it and the fact that they have hands-on experience with editing and shooting the video. So Tracy, that's a point for you. David, that's a point for you. And Amy, I saw your head shake. So that is also a point for you all as well. All right, so the next one, operates a personal business on Instagram and Twitter. Is this something that they can use in that cover letter?
That would match the fourth bullet point. Knowledge of how to publicize on social medias to communicate.
Exactly, David, you hit the nail on the head. And Amy, I saw your head shake as well. Yes, this can support also attention to detail and also their marketing, videography, I can never say that word correctly, videography services and client management. I can spell it, but I can't say it. Yes, so as long as if they're going to include this, they want to make sure that they hit attention to detail and marketing with social media platforms, right? If that's one thing that I talked about a little bit earlier, the more you add, the more it has to, connect back to the job posting. So yes, I think that's correct. So this next one, 3+ years of customer service. Is this something that we can use? Does it align with the desired qualifications? I see a head shaking no from Amy. Tracy, I saw you come off of mute. What do you think?
Definitely second to last, sales and marketing products. So it can utilize the customer service, retail as well. Yeah, I think it covers it.
I might have to ask you one more time. I was able to hear you last time, but this one's a little bit.
Oh, sure. Yeah, the last one, sales and marketing products and services. So that can tie in with retail and handling customers, and so it can range a lot of things within that scope.
That's a really, really good point, Tracy. Now, I went ahead and marked this one off, but Tracy, you made a great case for why you probably could include this, right? So sales and marketing is going to take some interpersonal skills that you can definitely pull from customer service. Now, I marked this one off, but again, if you can connect it back to the job posting, you can probably use it. And that's also, I said if there's one thing you take away, it's to pull from classwork. But if there's a second thing you can take away from this, it's, use that critical thinking to pull from experience that, you may not have it, black and white on paper, but if you can connect it back to the job posting, you absolutely can use it to get probably positions or jobs that you may not have thought you readily thought that you could have. But yes, awesome point, Tracy. So this last one, this use of Adobe Illustrator, CAD, Autodesk, and YouTube Studios. Do we think that we can use this? I see an immediate thumbs up from Amy. Anybody else want to share their perspective on this? Tracy, I saw that thumbs up. You all are really gunning for this Amazon gift card. I get it, we're in a pandemic. ISIS.
I agree that this could be used, but is there a better way to say this so that it's a little more general, because this does seem a little specific to the job.
Good catch, good catch. Yes, you are correct in that we can use this, but some of these acronyms on here, and I put this in here to see if you would notice. So CAD, Autodesk, Adobe Illustrator, YouTube Studios, we can't assume that the employer will know readily what each of these programs are. So Adobe Illustrator, just from what I know, is a graphic design software. That's how I would write it, in my cover letter. CAD is computer aided design. Autodesk and YouTube, I'm not quite sure, but you can bet that if we went onto ONET and went through those technology skills for a position that uses Autodesk or YouTube Studios, you'll find that generic kind of language in there. So yes, awesome point, Isis. That's a point for you. And I also saw Amy and Tracy give a thumbs up. And yes, so experience this, if they included this, it could back up experience with video editing and also attention to detail for any kind of technical work that they would be doing on here. Awesome job. Thanks everyone for participating.
Hello,
Again,
Malik. Sorry to interrupt. I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking for the third bullet points experience we have, we operate our personal business, Instagram and Twitter. And how would you articulate the requirement attention to detail with this experience? Yeah, I'm not really sure how can I like put it into words to show that with this experience, I can, because I do this, so I do have this attention to detail. How would you articulate that point?
That's a really, really great question. How can you connect operating a personal business and Instagram to attention to detail, right? And there are many ways that you can use a business, a social media platform for your business. Instagram, especially if you're operating off of that, they do, I know for a fact, using our own Instagram, is that they provide you with analytics and they give you exactly how well your posts are doing or what kind of audiences you're not reaching, right? So if you want to provide tailored content to those specific demographics or to meet certain needs, you're definitely developing analytical thinking skills and attention to detail skills, because you want to make sure that everything that you're doing is tailored to the audience that you want it. So that's how I would personally share it in a cover letter.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. It's a really, really great question. And, like I said, writing cover letters takes a little bit of finesse, and it takes a little bit of, of those critical thinking skills to figure out how do I get from point A to point B in a way that's understandable to an employer. So awesome question, David. All right, so you all did a great job. We hit every single thing on here, and Isis, amazing job finding a little loophole for this customer service experience one. Or, no, I'm sorry, it was Tracy. Tracy who did that. Right, so when you're, so if I were someone, say if I was David and I was trying to figure out which skills to really pull from here, there are a lot of different resources that you can use. ONET Online is a tool that we can use. We went over how to find skills on there, related skills, any kind of technology or software that you might be using in this position, and expected tasks that you'd be doing in your desired position. Career One Stop and Indeed are job networks where you can find specific job postings to model your cover letter after. You can also find a company's career page through this and find out where their values are, what kind of keywords you should include in that cover letter as well. And lastly, our Mesa College website. If I took web design, 15 years ago, and I can't remember for the life of me what kind of curriculum I went over in that kind of class, then I can go onto that Mesa College website. For example, I'll do it right now because I think we're all right on time. It'll be the last one that we go over. I can head on over to sdmesa.edu and go on down to our academics page where you can find every single program that we offer. And you'll be able to take a look at, wait for it to load, accounting. It'll tell you not only where you can work, but this is great for students who are looking for employment or looking to transfer. And here you can find every single course that you probably took while you're here at Mesa. And that's where you can find, oh yeah, I took business communications and I learned XYZ. I took a course specifically on Microsoft Office that'll speak to my computer literacy. You can go through here at any time, current or, current student or alumni, and you'll be able to use those kind of resources to re-jog your memory a little bit. You can go through any kind of syllabi that you're able to find on the website and you'll be able to find example cover letters, which we provide to students on our careers page. And then lastly, you have your resume. You can pull from your resume to find those greatest hits or those really big highlights to model your cover letter around. And if you're looking to create one, visit us. Now, once you've gone through each of these, you want to piece everything together. Make sure that you hit those checkpoints and check for a strong, well-worded introduction. You can take a look at your 1 to 2 body paragraphs that explain how your experiences reflect the job posting. And then lastly, you want to you want to conclude with a brief and concise conclusion paragraph. Also on our Mesa College career page, you'll be able to find cover letter handouts where you can look at more, checklists and, ways things to avoid and example cover letters. Right, and then we're also, cover letter is just, just one small part of your ultimate career journey, right? We have a handful of different services that are here to help you wherever you are in that career journey of yours. Our Career Ambassador Program, that's where I am. We meet one-on-one with you all to go over things like this, your cover letter, your resume, where can you improve, what are some things that you're really doing well, and then how, once you send that in, getting prepared for the interview that follows that, and then also looking at different ways that you can search for jobs, specifically with our job network. Our career counselors, they'll sit down with you and they'll go a little bit more in depth, again, through one-on-one sessions and take a look at, career planning kind of backwards. Where are your skills? How does your personality type fit into specific work industries, right? And then they'll help you settle on a career. From there, they'll kind of, again, work backwards and look at major exploration. What kind of program do we offer at Mesa that closest aligns to your career goals? And then also some kind of long-term planning that they'll sit down and do with you in those 1-hour sessions. Some career events and resources that we also have to help you along the way is our Mesa College Job Network. This is a free resource for students that's available to current students and alumni, where you can log onto the job network and find job postings or volunteer opportunities that are posted specifically from employers that are looking for college students. This spring, coming in April, I believe we're shooting for, is our first virtual job fair, where you can meet with employers and figure out how their industry kind of works, whether or not they're hiring. And then we also have the Career Peer Workshop Series, which if you made it here, I assume that you're a little bit aware, but we also have, a handful of other ones that are coming up on internship planning, on interview preparation, and virtual networking. So these are all, parts of your career journey that go outside of just cover letter writing, all right? So that is where I kind of want to leave you all. This is just the first stop in your career journey. I want to thank you all for attending. So if you have any kind of questions right now before we get into our post survey and opportunity drawing, feel free to drop them in the chat, or if you have any comments that you want to share, feel free to drop them in the chat right now. What I'll do while you all kind of, let all this simmer and let it marinate, so I'm going to drop the link to our post survey. Now, this is going to be your guaranteed entry into the opportunity drawing that we're doing. All right, so for those of you who participated and asked questions and answered my questions that I posed to you all, you will get additional entries on top of completing this post survey. I'm dropping into the chat right now. Great. So down in the chat box, you'll be able to get a link to our post survey. Upon completing that, I'm able to see everywhere. I'm able to see you all's responses as you send them in. Upon completing that, you will get your guaranteed entry into our opportunity drawing. And while you're working on that, again, feel free to drop any questions that you might have into the chat about anything that we went over today.
Thank you everyone again for being here today. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but please feel free to work on the post survey. Thank you again.
Mhm.